Hello everybody, my name is Ratnos, and today we're going to talk about farming Crests and Valorstones, as these are two resources that a lot of people I know are short on this season, especially after the turbo boost. So delves are going to be where we're going to start here, because there's a really strong crest farming strategy in delves that not a lot of people know about. A lot of people know about bountiful delves. If you do your bountiful delves, especially if you can do up to tier 11s, you can do those 3 times per week. You get 7 gilded crests each time you open the chest, the first 3 times per week on a tier 11 at the end of the run. And if you find a map and you use the map, then you'll get 20 now. They buffed it up to 20 gildeds from that. So you can actually earn 41 gilded crests per week from doing 3 tier 11 bountiful delves, including one with a map. The map will usually drop from one of the first 2, but if it doesn't, you can buy a wave scrambler from the delve vendor and use that. That's a pretty good strat. I do that on a lot of my characters, but what if you want to farm a lot of crests and you don't want to do any of the group content associated with farming the crests? Well, you can actually get it still from delves by spamming the same delve over and over again. Now, if you can do tier 11, that's ideal, because if you can do a tier 11 delve, just from the end of delve chest, you'll get, I believe, 10 ruined crests. And if you upgrade the Nemesis chest, I think at least 3 times, so you don't have to kill all of the underpin mini-bosses, but you have to do all but one of them. Upgrade it up 3 times, you'll get another 5 ruined crests out of that. So you'll get 15 ruined crests per delve that you can do this in. Now, if you can do a delve really fast, that could potentially mean, say you could do a delve in 5 minutes. Now, it's obviously a tier 11, but you get to pick. It doesn't have to be bountiful, so you can pick any delve, whichever delve you like the most, whichever delve you can do the fastest. There are some really fast stories and strategies in Fungal Folly, in the Waterworks, in the Dread Pit in particular. Those are some of my favorite delves. There's some really good stories in there. The Micromancer Cavern as well, where you can just go through the delve and super quick, but depending on if you're a stealther, if you're a tank, if you're a healer, you might have different delves that you can do the fastest in, so you can do some experimenting, you do some looking around. There are guide videos out there, I know, to speed running delves. This can get you 15 ruined crests per delve, and then you either have the achievement, Ruined of the Undermine, and that lets you purchase the Glorious Cluster of Gilded Undermine Crests. Great. Now you're earning every 45 ruined crests, you're converting into 15 gilded crests. Again, this could be as much as 15 gilded crests per 20 minutes if you can do a delve in like 7 minutes. That's not that fast, right? You could do a delve in 7 minutes, you could do 3 delves in 20 minutes, and then turn in and do this. So we're talking about 45 gilded crests an hour. That's pretty good, right? That's a pretty good rate on gilded crests for something you can do solo. Or you don't have the Ruined to the Undermine achievement, in which case doing the tier 11s is maybe a little bit trickier depending on the class and spec you're playing and how high level your Bran is. But if that's the case, then you need the Ruined crests, so it's even better. You are using the Ruined crests that you're getting from the end of the run. Now, do you have to do tier 11s? Well, tier 11s are a lot better. If you can do tier 8s, though, you can still earn 8 ruined crests from the end of the run instead of 15 if you're upgrading. You still have to be upgrading the Nemesis chest as well, which means it's only a little bit better than half as much as from a tier 11 delve, and you can maybe do them in double the time, in which case, great, you're earning the same amount of gildeds per hour. So that's a really good source of gilded crests. The other sources of gilded crests are obviously the ones you're going to know about, right? Doing Mythic plus Keystones as high as you can, up through level 12. Once it gets past 12, you don't get any more crests from the end of the run, but you can get up to 20 crests per run from that. And then the raid. Something a lot of people don't think about from the raid is the difficulty 1 level down from what you actually normally do has really good rewards from the last 2 bosses. So if you're a normal raider, the last 2 bosses of LFR give you 15 weathered crests and 15 carved crests each. That's pretty good. If you're a heroic raider, the last 2 bosses of normal give 15 carved and 15 ruined crests each. And if you're a mythic raider, well, the last 2 bosses of heroic give 15 ruined and 15 gilded each. So if you do a heroic run where you kill Vexy and then Bandit and then the last 2, you're going to earn 30 gilded crests plus 50 ruined crests. And those 50 ruined crests, again, we can go talk to our friend and we can upgrade that to another 15 gilded crests, right? So you get 45 gilded crests and 5 ruined crests from a heroic skip run if you can do that. So think about the lower difficulties is basically the other thing from crests. Let's move on to talking about Valorstones, though, because Valorstones are another resource that you might be light on. If you've been doing delves, if you've been doing bountiful delves, you may have some radiant echoes. These are some of the best ways to convert into more Valorstones. So if you can go and you pop open your map and you find wherever the Worldsoul memory is, and a tip, there will always be one active in the Undermine this season, either down here or the one up here. And you can go and do these, and you don't even really have to stay in them for very long. If you've built up a lot of extra Radiant Echoes and you're not using them, and you just need a little bit of Valor Stones, you can just pop in and like leave. So if you just instantly leave, I believe you still get like 100 Valor Stones. Let's check. So even if you do 0 score, right? Radiant Echo, and you can just right-click this thing off. Yeah, 100 Valor Stones. Just from doing that, I've lost 5 of my Radiant Echoes to do that. But if you have a bunch of extra of these, this is a really good way to just instantly convert them into Valor Stones. And if you get as little as like 50 score from the Radiant Echo, you'll double the amount of Valor Stones that you get. The graph is like it's a very like logarithmic scale or something like that, where going from 0 to 50 score doubles the Valor Stones and the key shards that you're going to get. Going from 50 to like 100 gives a lot smaller rewards, and then going from 100 to 200 gives even smaller rewards. So pop in, kill 1 rare, get your score up to 50, pop out, reset it, do it again, and you can easily turn all of your Radiant Echoes into Valor Stones at a very good rate, especially if you're doing that 5 at once thing. Either of the 5 at once buttons I believe give the same rewards. It's just the Mythic difficulty one has some extra achievements associated with it if you go and kill the rares in there. The other good source of Valor Stones is the CHETT list. So in order to have this active, available to you, you need to have your Cartels of Undermine rep at level 13 or higher. But once you get to this point, you can talk to CHETT upstairs in the hotel. You can get them to give you a CHETT list. I made a little macro so I can pop it open, but it's just in your bags if you have one of these things. Yeah, here it is here, CHETT list. And this will give you 8 items to go and do. And each one you do will give you a few Valor Stones. It's like, oh, that's not too much. It's a little bit of Valor Stones. The Delve ones give a decent amount each. But then when you complete this whole list, you can turn it into CHETT for 250 Valor Stones. So if your character needs some, you can do this. Side with the Cartel is free. You might get 1 or 2 delves that you maybe want to do anyways. And then some of these are really easy. Completing 2 races in Undermine, pretty easy. Collecting 50 cans, very easy. Just go around up here and then go back around here and you'll get your 50 very fast. Go fish. So I don't like the go fish, the side gig, complete 10 deliveries. Those are a little bit more obnoxious. There's one that says loot from 25 garbage cans, which you can just turn off auto loot or hold shift if you have auto loot on, and then right click the same can 25 times. Little exploit there if you want to get that credit for that one real quick. So you can just find the 4 easiest of these, do those. Doing them will give you about 100 Valor Stones, and then turning it into CHETT will give you 250 Valor Stones. By the way, if you happen to not need the Valor Stones and you want rep with one of the cartels, you can also turn the CHETT list in to your whichever reps vendor, like whichever cartel's vendor you want, and they will give you rep instead for them. So that can be a good way to farm rep. Yeah, I think you need to turn 1 or 2 CHETT lists into CHETT before you can do that. But yeah, this is not a video about rep. This is a video about Valor Stones and Crests. So yeah, those are the main sources of good and easy and efficient Valor Stones and Crests that I know of. Of course, the nice thing about Valor Stones and Crests is that they come from the sources of the stuff that you want to be doing anyways. It's just that in some cases they're not going to be coming at the rates that you want, and you're going to have more Crests than Valor Stones, or you're going to have more Valor Stones than Crests, and you're going to want, a little tip, a little way to get a little leg up on whichever resource you are short of. So that was the purpose of this video. I bet I've missed some good strategies, though. Put them down in the comments below if there's anything that you do to, if you have any strat that you use when you're short on Valor Stones or Crests. Of course, with Valor Stones as well, remember that those are now warband transferable. At a pretty, you have to lose 20%. You get tariffed on these when you warband transfer them, but you can still get a bunch of Valor Stones transferred this way. The thing to note is, as well, you could have all your alts just go and check and see which ones get very easy CHETT lists, and then get a bunch of Valor Stones on those characters, and then send them to your main. So that's another thing you can do with Valor Stones. Or, of course, if you have extra Radiant Echoes on any of your characters as well, you can make them farm the Valor Stones instead, and then transfer them to whichever character needs them. Crests are not transferable in that way, though, so you're going to have to actually go and do a farming method of some kind or other. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope it helped. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.